Hello, I'm Graham Armstrong. As a career entrepreneur, I have started and run 5 different businesses across industries such as distribution, manufacturing, import-export, software development, and management consulting. One of these grew to over 300 staff and was eventually sold to a large publicly listed company. Others weren't so successful, but all have given me considerable insights into the challenges of traditional employment and conventional business as a means of growing personal wealth. With the benefit of this experience, my wife Huraman and I are excited by Nu Skin's network marketing business model and have committed to this as a primary means of securing our financial freedom. To add further context to this and to help others with their own career and financial planning, I have created this visual representation of the most common income generating options, describing graphically their individual strengths and weaknesses as a vehicle for achieving financial freedom. I hope you find it useful, but firstly, some housekeeping. Okay, the obligatory disclaimer to start with. The opinions presented herein are mine alone. They are general in nature and do not constitute professional financial advice. Right, let's get into it. In this presentation, I will compare visualizations for what financial freedom really looks like, some typical employment scenarios, a series of conventional business scenarios, and the alternative Nu Skin network marketing business. And if you're not sure how network marketing works, check the other videos on our Ageless You channel, or get back to whoever referred you to this video. So now it's back to the graphics as I explain the common elements used in all these visualizations. First are our X and Y axis. In this video, the X or horizontal axis will always represent the elements of hours worked and free time available. These combine to make up the total timeline represented in each scenario, be that 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week, or 365 days per year. These timelines change depending on the scenario, as you will see play out in a moment. The third element on the horizontal axis is surplus income, being the income remaining for discretionary items such as holidays and other lifestyle choices after your spending on essential items such as food and shelter. The Y or vertical axis will always represent the element of net return. This represents your hourly rate, a return on investment, or any other reward for effort. Additionally, the Y-axis represents an element for the financial investment and/or risk associated with the specific scenario. I'm confident this will all make sense as we get going, so let's baseline this conversation by first visualizing what financial freedom really looks like. First, we see the hours worked. Obviously, we want this very much at the less end of the spectrum. Some might like to think of freedom as not working at all, but generally you need to apply some effort to keep your affairs in order and the income rolling. However, ideally this will be less than working full time. Now we introduce the free time marker. This always sits opposite the hours worked to make up one of the timeline measures mentioned before. For this scenario, let's assume a 365-day timeline, which, on average, you work approximately a quarter of the days, leaving around 9 months of wonderful free time. Next is the all-important surplus income. In a financial freedom scenario, you'll want plenty of surplus income to enjoy all that free time. To achieve that surplus income, you will obviously need a high net return on those relatively few days worked. And to have true peace of mind, you would want a very low risk and investment attached to your activities. For me, that looks like a pretty desirable representation of financial freedom. So let's snapshot that for comparing with the other scenarios coming up. Okay, I hope that's been easy enough to follow. Now let's discuss some regular employment scenarios, which should be familiar to most of us. For centuries, having a job or employment has been the primary source of income for the vast majority of the workforce. Put simply, employment is the trade of an employee's time and skills for an employer's money. And therein lies the key limitation of this scenario. So let's visualize that now. Firstly, the good news. The financial risk and investment associated with regular employment is obviously relatively low, notwithstanding there is no such thing as guaranteed employment these days. In terms of hours worked, let's start with a standard 8-ish hour workday, meaning free time for the same workday is around 16 hours. Now let's assume an above average hourly rate, which means you should be left with a modest amount of surplus income. Okay, I think that looks like a fair representation of regular employment, so let's snapshot that now. As you can see, this doesn't reflect the financial freedom visualisation next to it, particularly the surplus income measure. So what can we do about that? Well, you could pursue a higher paying job, be that from a promotion, undertaking high risk work, or perhaps changing employer. So let's play that out now. Okay, your net hourly rate increases, meaning you should realise additional surplus income. Nice. However, these are typically one-off or very staggered opportunities and generally come with more responsibility, more stress, and very often more hours worked. So that's still not looking like financial freedom to me. So what else can you do as an employee? Well, you can always work more hours. One option is overtime for your current employer, another is a second job, including in the gig economy. Whilst both scenarios will generate some additional surplus income, both are at the absolute discretion of the employer, and both come with a commensurate reduction in free time. In the end, none of these scenarios match the financial freedom visualisation above. Ultimately, only a very small percentage of employees will ever earn the income levels that meet their goals and dreams. And then there is the flip side of employment. As we all know, when we stop working, be that because of extended leave, retirement, layoffs, retrenchments or sackings, the income stops as well, which apart from plenty of free time, certainly doesn't mirror financial freedom. This is what I call the employment syndrome, the persistent and limiting link between hours worked, free time available, and surplus income. As the first visualisation shows, true financial freedom is only possible when we are able to break these links. So what are the alternatives? Well, starting your own business is the most popular alternative for overcoming the employment syndrome. It's certainly been my primary choice throughout my career. So let's visualise some typical conventional business scenarios. Firstly, starting a full-time business usually means giving up your previous full-time employment and wage, and with that goes the surplus income, along with dreams of extended holidays or family time, no matter how motivating they were in your financial planning. And whilst folks like me generally accept that starting a business means the hours worked will likely exceed standard employee hours, particularly during the formative years, their hope is that eventually the profits earned will significantly exceed the equivalent income they can earn as an employee. However, as I can attest from bitter personal experience, for many reasons this is far from guaranteed. At the same time, these full-time businesses often involve significant investments in renting premises, employing staff, buying stock, carrying debtors, operating systems and processes, and/or advertising costs. The net result, at least in the short term, ends up being the inverse of the financial freedom visualisation. For the fortunate few, this situation eventually reverses as they begin realising the profits of their labour and risk and start moving towards their financial freedom goals. So let's see what success looks like. Here, the net return increases along with their surplus income, and hopefully they get to claw back some of that all-important free time. But you will notice that I haven't lowered the investment bar. This is because success often requires continued or even additional investment to fund the growth. So it takes a long time to ultimately lower or eliminate this from most conventional businesses. Okay, let's snapshot that as our conventional business visualisation. Even with the positive result, it still doesn't look like financial freedom. And then, sadly, all too often, this result never materialises. Statistics show that 80% of all new businesses fail within the first 2 years, often leaving their owners with lasting debts and financial hardship. Ultimately, choosing to start a conventional business as a means of breaking the employment syndrome is often a high-risk strategy with no guarantees of success. But how does Nu Skin's network marketing business differ? Other videos on our Ageless YouTube channel talk about Nu Skin's operating model, so check those for more details. But for now, let's use the same graphics to visualize the Nu Skin business model. First up, I'm going to start with the employment baseline from above on the assumption that you are starting your Nu Skin business while working full-time. Obviously, this may not be the case, nor does it have to be, but it will provide the fairest comparison for this visualization. Now, unlike conventional businesses, Nu Skin requires no stock, debtors, premises or staff, so the financial investment and risk element remains very low. And whilst there is no minimum time required either, like with most pursuits, to give yourself the maximum chance of success, you need to make a reasonable and regular time commitment. For this scenario, I'll assume something like 8 hours per week, although you may choose more depending on your circumstances and goals. As a result, your total hours worked have increased and free time reduced accordingly. And like with working a second job or overtime, your net return on effort, along with your surplus income, begins to increase in line with your business success. But here is where Nu Skin really differs from other scenarios. As you continue to grow your Nu Skin business, particularly through the leverage model, your net return per hour gets higher and higher, driving an even greater increase in surplus income. From here, your net return is no longer directly linked with hours worked. And now the real fun begins. Like many, you may decide to give up your day job so you can focus solely on your Nu Skin business. Of course, you don't have to do this, but typically this is a step many look forward to, even with a short-term hit to their surplus income and net return. This is because they've worked out that as they really apply the leverage model, they can begin realizing income at levels they could only dream of as an employee. So there you have the 4 comparisons. It's pretty obvious which one most closely matches the original view of financial freedom. Now, I don't want to oversell this, and how far you go is entirely up to you. The point is, there simply is no cap from a business success or income perspective. Again, please get back to whoever referred you to this video, as they'll be able to more directly demonstrate how this level of success has been proven by thousands and thousands of determined people all over the world, and why you need to seriously consider Nu Skin as a vehicle for your own financial freedom. So that's it. I hope you find this and our other videos help with your own career planning. Thank you for watching.